Wichita police and now the FBI are continuing to search for missing 5-year-old Lucas Hernandez. A new lead has investigators going through Chisholm Creek Park in northeast Wichita, several miles north of his home where he was last seen.
Looks like he was supposed to be sitting in his room. Conrad took a shower, and when she checked on him, he was no longer there. Says that his coat and shoes are still on scene, and he's never wandered off before.
America's youth is turning its pain into activism in the wake of the Florida school shooting massacre. Fueling their cause today, revelations the 19-year-old accused legally owned 7 guns. It's a fast-growing protest, but will it be enough for President Trump to soften his pro-gun stance? Paul Hobbs reports.
Head bowed, the 19-year-old showed no emotion as he appeared in a Florida court for the second time, facing 17 counts of murder.
Fergie sings the national anthem at the NBA All-Star Game and hits a sour note. Dressed in a sexy off-the-shoulder lace dress, Fergie gave the anthem a sultry, bluesy spin. Jimmy Kimmel sure looked amused. So did the players, including Steph Curry.
Butter, cream, more butter, and a pinch of flour. Certainly not for the health conscious.
There's an awful lot of fat in it, enough to kill a cow.
The recipe comes from a book started by a woman called Rebecca Winch in 1666. And apart from the death-defying pancakes, it shows how people then made little distinction between food and medicine.
Locals are being advised to ignore a racist hoax letter with the game's logo and Peter Beattie's signature that's allegedly been dropped in letterboxes. It advises residents they've been selected to host a Sri Lankan extended family of 11 during the games. Goldock says the letters are fake and has been handed to Queensland Police, who will conduct preliminary investigations into the motive and origin of its source.
A new study from Japan shows that your eating speed could influence what you weigh. Researchers looked at 6 years of data on more than 59,000 overweight Japanese people. They asked, how quickly do you eat? That fast eaters, it seems, had higher body mass indexes. Why? It might be because the body takes 20 minutes to recognize that the stomach is full. Fast eaters continue to eat after they're full because there hasn't been time to feel full yet.
Most of the salt we eat has already been added to food, so cutting down can be difficult. The amount of salt we consume has fallen a lot in the past decade. We still eat an average 8 grams a day, though. The recommended amount is 6 grams, the same as a level teaspoon. Campaigners believe that if more of us achieved this goal, over 1,000 stomach cancer cases a year could be prevented.
They explored it, they experimented with it, they tried all kinds of crazy things. One of the ingredients in one of the dishes that we're playing with is viper flesh, so I don't know that we necessarily need to eat that to be better people today, but there are certainly tremendous health benefits in thyme, rosemary, sage, All these ingredients have great benefits to our health and well-being, and we've forgotten about them, and we really ought to bring them back and reconsider it.
Hernandez was last seen around 3 p.m. on Saturday. He was reported missing 3 hours later. Wichita police searched the area around his home, even going door-to-door searching homes. Brooke Bowman led officers into her house.
With the police officers searching the inside and the canine dogs searching the backyards.
Currently, Wichita Police Department detectives continue to speak with family and follow up with any leads regarding this unfortunate situation.
O sobrevivente é senhor que eu estou a ver aqui, mas a mulher, o filho já não existe. E mais alguma senhora, o vovô daquela casa, 1, 2, 3, 4 casas, os donos não existem.
Further revelations today that Nicholas Cruz had legally bought 7 guns, including an AK-47, as well as the AR-15 he allegedly used to carry out the Valentine's Day killings. As funerals continued for his victims, survivors turned up the volume on calls for changes to gun laws.
We feel neglected, and at this point you're either with us or against us.
Okay, so this is a recipe that cures the plague, apparently.
Plague was a regular hazard in the 17th century. Rebecca's cure calls for a potent blend of wine and herbs.
Mix it all together and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't explode. Ooh, not too bad. Kind of smells like Christmas pudding.
NBA analysts Charles Barkley and Shaq had this reaction.
Can we talk about Fergie's national anthem? Oh, stop. Don't do that. Don't do that to my Fergie.
Roseanne, who famously destroyed the national anthem 3 decades ago, had this zinger. Who saw Fergie's national anthem performance at the NBA All-Star Game? I think mine was better low-key.
Other links to higher weight, after dinner snacking and eating dinner within 2 hours of sleeping. Their message, if you want to lower weight, you might try lingering a bit over your meals. With this Medical Minute, I'm Arlette Sines, ABC News.
Try and choose products that have a lower salt intake. Look out for labels that say reduced salt intake, so things like baked beans, you can buy reduced salt versions. Try and cut down on how much salt you're adding during cooking and at the table as well, because that can make a difference too. And choose foods that have been minimally processed.
The original manuscript is kept under lock and key at the Folger Shakespeare Library. That's why an international effort is underway to digitise and transcribe not only Rebecca's book, but thousands of other historic recipes in the library's vast collection.
Officers are looking all across the city for missing Lucas. We're over here at the Great Plains Nature Center. You see the patrol vehicle here and behind me. All this open area filled with trees and tall grass. Officers are searching this area now. The boy's relatives talked with Cake News, hoping he comes home safe.
We're in shock. He's a sweet little boy. Once people have these texts, we hope that medical historians will come and look at some of these recipes and tell us, whether there's any medical validity to them. Are they things that are still used homeopathically? I mean, we just don't know because the right people haven't had their eyes on the manuscript.
Now this is a typical entry. You've got a recipe for pickled fish, pancakes, and then a cure for worms on the same page.
This group, Teens for Gun Reform, rallied outside the White House, laying on the ground for 3 minutes, the time it reportedly took Cruz to purchase his gun.
If we don't stand up, our voices will never be heard, and real change needs to happen now, and that's the way that it's going to be done.
President Trump has promised to take some action, a spokesperson saying the president supports efforts to improve the federal background check system.
And there was this tweet. Fergie killed it, but not in a good way.
But there's little evidence that meaningful change will occur. The all-powerful National Rifle Association has successfully resisted every move to tighten gun controls in recent years. It's given $28 million to the Trump campaign, the president the star turn at their conference last year.
Right, this is a powder for worms for children. And once you mix together the rhubarb, worm seed, and other ingredients, you take as much as will lie on a sixpence and administer it to a young child. It says this has been used with great success.
And then to cheer them up, you can cook up the pancakes afterwards.
Eating more fruit and vegetables is also thought to help lower the risk of stomach cancer. It's a disease which often isn't spotted until it's well established, so taking measures to improve your lifestyle could make a difference. The government says it's considering clearer labels for salt content, and it will keep these findings under review. Jane Draper, BBC News.
You have a true friend and champion in the White House.
After last year's massacre in Las Vegas, Trump stated he was open to banning bump stocks, the device that transforms a semi-automatic firearm into an automatic. But Congress has blocked any law change.
We need to stand up to the NRA. We need to do what's right for kids, not guns.
Many of Rebecca's recipes are quite sophisticated. There's an early example of chocolate, and a rare type of Asian ginger is used elsewhere. And while the cure for plague won't do any harm, it's probably best to stay away from the pancakes. Jane O'Brien, BBC News, Washington.